Welcome to today's 30-minute episode of the Rise Up podcast. In this episode, we'll be exploring a variety of interesting and thought-provoking topics, perfect for practicing your listening skills while expanding your vocabulary and knowledge. Whether you're here to learn something new or just enjoy a great conversation, you're in the right place. And for those of you who prefer to follow along or revisit any part of the episode, I've prepared a PDF transcript, which you can find in the description. Let's get started. Does technology make people more productive or more distracted? I think technology can go both ways. It can make us more productive, but it can also make us more distracted. The key is how we use it. On the productivity side, technology offers tools that help us stay organized, automate tasks, and work more efficiently. Apps for scheduling, note-taking, and project management can help keep us on track, while things like cloud storage and video calls make collaboration easier no matter where we are. Technology can streamline work processes, saving time and allowing us to focus on the tasks that really matter. However, it's easy for technology to become a source of distraction too. With social media, notifications, and constant access to the internet, it's tempting to check our phones or jump between tasks. These interruptions can break our focus and actually slow us down. It's kind of like having a million tabs open in your brain, which can lead to burnout or feeling scattered. In the end, it's about balance. Technology can definitely make us more productive, but we have to be intentional about how we use it. Setting boundaries, limiting distractions, and being mindful of how much time we spend online can help us get the most out of tech without letting it take over our attention.
What life lesson would you share with your younger self? If I could share a life lesson with my younger self, it would be to trust the process and don't rush things. I spent so much time worrying about where I was going and if I was doing things right. But now I realize that life isn't a straight line, and the detours are often where you learn the most. Sometimes it feels like things aren't moving fast enough or you're falling behind, but everything unfolds at its own pace. So be patient and trust that you're exactly where you need to be, even if it doesn't always feel like it. Another piece of advice would be to not be afraid to fail. Every mistake or setback is just an opportunity to grow, and the fear of failure can hold you back from trying new things or taking risks. The sooner you learn that failure isn't the end of the world, the more freedom you'll have to take chances and learn from them. And finally, I'd tell myself to enjoy the present moment more. It's easy to get caught up in planning for the future or wishing things were different, but the present is where life happens. Appreciate where you are, who you're with, and the small moments along the way. Life moves faster than you think.
What is the best way to overcome challenges in learning a new language? Overcoming challenges in learning a new language is all about consistency, mindset, and finding the right strategies that work for you. The first step is to embrace mistakes. Language learning is full of them, and that's okay. It's part of the process. Don't let the fear of making mistakes hold you back. The more you practice, the more natural it becomes, and mistakes are just stepping stones toward fluency. Next, set small, achievable goals. Instead of thinking about mastering the whole language at once, focus on learning a few words or phrases every day. Build up your vocabulary gradually and make it part of your daily routine. Small wins will keep you motivated. Another key is immersing yourself in the language as much as possible. This doesn't mean moving to another country, though that would help. But you can surround yourself with the language in everyday life. Watch movies or shows, listen to podcasts, or even change your phone's language settings. The more exposure you get, the easier it becomes to think in that language. Practice regularly, even if it's just for 10 to 15 minutes a day. Consistency is better than cramming once a week. Speaking with others, whether it's language partners or teachers, can also really boost your confidence. Lastly, stay patient and be kind to yourself. Language learning is a marathon, not a sprint. Celebrate the progress you make, no matter how small. With time and effort, you'll see improvement, and eventually, it'll start feeling more natural.
How can we balance technology use with mental health? Balancing technology use with mental health is definitely something we need to be more mindful of, especially as tech becomes such a big part of our daily lives. On the positive side, technology can be incredibly helpful for staying connected, learning new things, and even managing our health. But when it starts taking up too much of our time, or when we're constantly plugged in, it can have a negative impact on our mental health. One way to strike that balance is by setting boundaries. For example, we could make a rule to limit screen time at certain points of the day, like during meals or before bed. This helps create time for face-to-face interactions and gives our brains a break from the constant flow of information. Also, taking regular digital detoxes where we step away from our phones and social media for a few hours or even a whole weekend can do wonders for reducing stress. Another important step is being intentional about how we use technology. Are we using it to connect with others, learn something new, or relax? Or are we just scrolling endlessly out of habit? Being mindful about what we consume online can help us avoid comparison and negativity, which can contribute to anxiety or depression. Lastly, it's important to remember that technology should complement our lives, not dominate them. Making time for hobbies, physical activity, or simply being present with the people around us is crucial for maintaining good mental health. Technology can be a tool, but it shouldn't take over every part of our day.
Would you prefer living in a rural or urban area? Choosing between living in a rural or urban area really depends on lifestyle preferences and what someone values most day to day. I can see the appeal of both, though I'd probably lean toward rural life for a more peaceful environment. Urban areas are amazing for convenience, social connections, and career opportunities. When you're in a city, there's almost always something happening. You have restaurants, events, and job options nearby, and it's easy to meet new people because of the diversity and sheer number of people around. On top of that, access to healthcare, education, and other services tends to be faster and easier. But urban areas can also get overwhelming. The noise, traffic, and constant activity can make it feel like there's never a moment of quiet. Plus, depending on the city, housing can be very expensive and space is limited. On the other hand, rural living offers that slower pace and peace that's harder to find in cities. Imagine being surrounded by nature, hearing birds instead of sirens, and maybe even knowing your neighbors on a personal level. There's a strong sense of community in many rural areas, where people are often more connected to one another and willing to help out. Plus, it's usually cheaper in terms of housing and general cost of living. The downside, though, is that rural areas can feel isolating, especially if you're far from family, friends, or work opportunities. Sometimes, basic services are also far away, and entertainment options are limited. If I had to choose, I'd probably go with a rural area, but near enough to a city so I could enjoy both worlds. The calm of nature and the convenience of city life when I need it. It's a balance that many people find appealing these days, especially with remote work making it easier to live farther from urban centers.
What country would you choose for a long-term vacation? If I could choose a country for a long-term vacation, I think I'd pick Italy. There's so much to see, experience, and enjoy there that a longer stay would feel almost essential. Italy has a great mix of history, natural beauty, and incredible food, which makes it perfect for a slower-paced, immersive vacation. I'd love to start in Rome and explore all the historical sites like the Colosseum, the Vatican, and the ancient ruins. It's fascinating to think about walking through places that have stood for thousands of years. Then, there's the Italian countryside. Tuscany's rolling hills, vineyards, and old villas seem like they're straight out of a painting. Spending time in a small Tuscan town, learning to cook local dishes, and sipping wine would be a dream. Plus, Italy's regional diversity means that each part of the country offers something unique. From the canals and romance of Venice to the coastal charm of the Amalfi Coast. It'd be incredible to just hop around, spending a few weeks or even a month in different regions, really getting to know each area. And of course, the food alone is worth the trip. Italian cuisine has so much variety, from pizza and pasta to seafood and pastries, that I'd never get bored. Trying local specialties in each city or town sounds like the best way to spend a day. Finally, The slower pace of Italian life is appealing. Italians are known for enjoying their meals, their time with friends and family, and not rushing through the day, which is perfect for a long-term vacation vibe. So for me, Italy has the perfect mix of relaxation, exploration, and unforgettable experiences.
What's more important, living near family or living near opportunities? It's tough to choose between living near family and living near opportunities, because both offer different types of value, and it really depends on what stage of life you're in and what your priorities are. Living near family can mean a strong support system, especially during tough times. Having loved ones close by means you can drop by for Sunday dinners, help each other out in emergencies, or just enjoy each other's company. If you have kids, it's great for them to grow up around family too. Being near family can give a sense of stability and connection that's hard to replace, especially in today's fast-paced world where people are often moving around and feeling disconnected. On the other hand, living near opportunities can be essential for personal and professional growth. Being in a place where there are more job options, better schools, or a network for your industry can really open doors that you might not find elsewhere. It can be hard to pass up the chance to advance your career or achieve personal goals just to stay close to family. Plus, some cities and areas have better access to healthcare, resources, or even just a lifestyle that fits you better. I think a lot of people look for a balance, maybe living close enough to visit family regularly, but still having access to good opportunities. With remote work becoming more common, it's possible to stay connected to job markets from a distance, which could make it easier to live near family without sacrificing opportunities. It comes down to what you need most at the moment. If family support feels like the priority, staying near loved ones can be the right choice. But if you're focused on building your career or seeking out new experiences, living near opportunities might make more sense.
Do you think money can buy happiness, or is it overrated? This is a classic question, and I think the answer is somewhere in the middle. Money definitely has the power to bring comfort and reduce stress, but it's probably not the ultimate key to happiness. Money can absolutely buy things that make life easier and more enjoyable. When you don't have to worry about basic needs like food, housing, and healthcare, you're able to live with a lot more peace of mind. Plus, money can allow you to explore interests, go on vacations, try new foods, or even pick up a hobby. These experiences can definitely bring joy and enrich your life, which makes money a tool that supports happiness in some ways. However, money by itself doesn't guarantee happiness. Studies have shown that after a certain income level that covers your basic needs and a few comforts, the extra money doesn't have the same impact on overall happiness. Things like close relationships, having a purpose, and physical and mental health often play a bigger role in lasting happiness. Think about it. Some of the happiest moments in life come from spending time with loved ones, having meaningful conversations, or achieving a personal goal, none of which money alone can buy. Then there's the downside of always chasing more money, which can actually work against happiness. When people put all their energy into making money, they can end up neglecting relationships, losing free time, or feeling constant stress, which can drain the joy right out of life. So, I'd say money can definitely help create happiness, but only up to a point. It can buy comfort and freedom, which are important, but the things that make life feel truly fulfilling, connection, purpose, health, are priceless.
How much does access to nature impact your mental health? Access to nature can have a huge positive impact on mental health. There's something about being surrounded by trees, fresh air, water, or open spaces that makes us feel more at ease and connected almost instantly. Studies have actually shown that spending time in nature can lower stress, reduce anxiety, and even improve mood. It's like nature has this calming effect that gives our minds a break from all the constant noise and demands of everyday life. For example, going for a walk in a park or spending a few hours hiking can really help clear your mind. Sometimes just being outdoors, feeling the sun, or listening to birds can make you feel recharged and centered. For people dealing with stress, anxiety, or even depression, access to nature can act as a natural form of therapy. sometimes referred to as ecotherapy. Even short bursts of time in nature have been shown to boost focus and improve overall mental clarity. There's also something to be said about the disconnect from technology and screens that nature offers. Our routines are often filled with notifications, emails, and tasks that can be mentally exhausting, and getting outside can help us feel present and remind us of the simpler pleasures. This break from constant stimulation is really beneficial, giving our brains time to rest and refresh. Of course, not everyone has easy access to nature, especially in urban areas, which can be tough. But even small green spaces or spending time on a balcony with plants can provide some of these mental health benefits. Overall, access to nature is definitely one of those extras that can have a big impact, making us feel more balanced, happy, and resilient.
What do you think about showing emotions openly, regardless of gender? Showing emotions openly, regardless of gender, is healthy and something I believe more people should feel comfortable doing. Expressing emotions is a natural part of being human, and yet, for a long time, society has placed different expectations on people based on gender. These expectations often suggest that men should tough it out and not show vulnerability, while women are often stereotyped as being too emotional. These outdated ideas can make it hard for anyone to feel free to be open about what they're feeling, which can lead to people bottling up their emotions and dealing with stress or sadness alone. When people, regardless of gender, are encouraged to show their feelings, it allows for more authentic connections and healthier relationships. Being open about emotions can help us feel understood and supported, which is essential for good mental health. It also lets others see that they're not alone in whatever they're feeling. For example, if a man shares that he's feeling anxious or down, it not only helps him, but may also encourage others to open up, breaking down the stigma around emotions. The same goes for women who express anger or assertiveness. These are just as valid as any other emotions and deserve to be respected. Expressing emotions openly can be a powerful tool for resilience. When we can acknowledge and address how we feel, we're better equipped to handle challenges and avoid letting things build up to the point of burnout or breakdown. It's a healthier way of living, no matter who you are. So, normalizing open expression of emotions across all genders is something society can benefit from as a whole. We're moving toward a time when emotional openness is more accepted, and hopefully it becomes just a natural part of how we relate to each other.
Do you save or spend more easily? And how does that affect you? I'd say I lean more towards saving, but with a tendency to spend on things I really value. Saving has always given me a sense of security, knowing that I have a financial cushion if something unexpected comes up. It can feel really satisfying to watch savings grow, whether it's for a long-term goal or just for peace of mind. That said, it's also easy to get too focused on saving and feel guilty when spending on things that aren't necessary. When I do spend, it's usually on experiences or things that genuinely bring me joy, like travel, a nice meal, or something that'll last, rather than a bunch of little things. I find that this balanced approach keeps me from regretting purchases. It's nice to enjoy life and not feel like I'm constantly sacrificing. But knowing there's a financial safety net makes those splurges feel even better. Overall, saving more than I spend makes me feel more in control and less stressed. But I think it's important to find a balance. Spending with intention on things that matter is just as important as saving.
Do you believe in soulmates, or do relationships take work? I think the idea of soulmates is really appealing, but I lean more toward the idea that relationships are built through effort, understanding, and commitment. The idea of a soulmate can sometimes give people the impression that a relationship will be easy and perfect if they find the one. But even the strongest connections require patience, growth, and compromise. People can definitely have an instant connection or a unique chemistry, and that's amazing when it happens. But even in those cases, keeping a relationship healthy and fulfilling still takes work. Life constantly changes, and so do people, which means that a relationship has to evolve too. Strong communication, emotional support, and being willing to work through challenges together are what make a relationship last. Sometimes people who don't seem like soulmates at first end up building something incredible because they put in the effort to understand each other deeply. I believe it's more realistic and even more romantic, in a way, to choose each other daily and put in the work to keep the relationship strong. It's not about finding a perfect match, but creating a meaningful bond with someone who grows with you. So, I think relationships are more about commitment and shared effort than waiting for a soulmate to just click into place.
Do you prefer shopping online or in stores, and why? I usually prefer shopping online because it's so convenient and easy to compare options without leaving home. There's just something nice about being able to browse through different websites, check reviews, and find exactly what I'm looking for without having to deal with crowds or long lines. Plus, the variety online is usually much wider than in a physical store, and sometimes you can find better deals or discounts that aren't available in person. That said, there are definitely some things that I'd rather shop for in person, like clothes or shoes. Being able to try things on, feel the material, and check the quality up close is sometimes worth the trip. There's also that instant satisfaction of taking the item home right away, instead of waiting for it to be delivered. Shopping in stores can also be more fun if I'm with friends or family. It's a social experience that online shopping can't replace. Everin, I'd say I lean toward online shopping for most things, but I see the benefits of both depending on what I'm looking for. It's really about convenience versus experience for me.
Is there something you always find yourself buying, even if you don't need it? There's something kind of fascinating about how, no matter how practical we try to be, there's always that one thing we buy over and over again, even when we know deep down we don't need it. For me, it's notebooks. You know, the ones with cool designs, inspiring covers, thick pages, or even just simple, clean lines. And every time I see one that catches my eye, I convince myself, this one is going to make me more organized. This one will finally get me to journal every day. Spoiler alert, most of these notebooks end up in a drawer, barely touched, waiting for the moment I finally get around to using them. It sounds silly, right? Especially in the digital age, when most of my to-do lists and notes end up on my phone anyway. But I think there's something nostalgic and comforting about having that blank page in front of me. Just holding a new notebook gives me this sense of possibility. It's like the pages are waiting for my thoughts, ideas, or sketches that could go there someday. Maybe, in a weird way, it's not about actually using the notebook, but rather about the idea of possibility it represents. Each one holds a promise, like a little token of potential for the future. I know I'm not alone in this habit either. A lot of people I talk to have their own version of the notebook obsession. Some people keep buying clothes with tags still on, certain that one day they'll find the perfect occasion to wear them. Others keep stocking up on candles or plants, even though their homes are practically mini jungles. Or maybe it's mugs. I've heard people joke that mugs multiply on their own in their cabinets, because who can resist a cute mug that speaks to them? It's funny because, in a way, these small, unnecessary purchases bring a certain joy, even if it's temporary. We convince ourselves these items will bring us something. More creativity, a better mood, maybe even a sense of calm or control. But most of the time, they just end up as part of our ever-growing collections. And that's okay. If it brings even a small amount of happiness or comfort, maybe it's worth it in some small way. What about you? Do you have something you keep buying even though you don't need it? Maybe it's something practical, or maybe it's something completely random. But if you're like me, it probably makes you smile, even if you're only smiling at yourself for buying another one.
Do you express affection through words, actions, or physical touch? That's a great question, and it really makes you think about how we all have our own unique ways of showing affection. For me, I'd say it's mostly through actions. I might not always be the first to say I love you or go in for a big hug, but I definitely like to show that I care through small, thoughtful gestures. It could be something simple like picking up someone's favorite snack or remembering something they said in passing and bringing it up later. I feel like actions speak louder because they show that you're really paying attention to what someone needs or what would make them happy. It's my way of saying, hey, I'm here for you, and I care about the little things that matter to you. That's not to say I don't also use words or physical touch. When I do say something affectionate, I mean it deeply, and I do think there's something very grounding and reassuring about a hug or a comforting hand on the shoulder. It's just that, for me, showing up and being consistent with those small acts of kindness feels like the most natural way to express love. But I know, everyone's different, and I think that's what makes relationships so interesting. Some people are all about the verbal affirmations, and others rely on physical touch to communicate their warmth. In the end, I think it's all about learning to recognize how the people in your life give and receive affection, and doing your best to meet them halfway. What about you? Do you find yourself leaning toward one way of showing affection more than others?
Do you think it's important for everyone to feel free to express their emotions? Absolutely. I think it's really important for everyone to feel free to express their emotions. When we hold things in, it can build up stress and even lead to misunderstandings with the people around us. Plus, expressing emotions is such a big part of being human. It's how we connect, how we understand ourselves, and how we feel understood by others. But I also get that expressing emotions isn't always easy. A lot of us have grown up hearing things like, don't cry, or be strong, which can make us feel like showing emotion is a weakness or something to be embarrassed about. And then there are cultural factors, personality differences, or just personal comfort levels that can make it challenging to open up. So while I think it's important, it also takes time and practice to feel comfortable expressing what we're feeling. When people feel free to express their emotions, it's like they're giving themselves permission to be fully themselves. It doesn't mean we need to wear our hearts on our sleeves 24/7, but being able to share what we're going through can be incredibly freeing and even healing. And not only does it help us, but it also builds closer, more authentic connections with the people around us. At the end of the day, I think it's all about balance and finding healthy ways to express emotions, whether it's talking to friends, journaling, doing something creative, or even just allowing ourselves to feel things instead of pushing them away.
What was your dream job when you were a kid, and why? When I was a kid, my dream job changed pretty often, but one that really stuck with me was being a marine biologist. I was completely fascinated by the ocean and all the mysterious creatures in it. Dolphins, sharks, sea turtles, you name it. I'd watch nature documentaries with wide eyes, amazed at the underwater world that felt so magical and unexplored. In my mind, marine biologists got to live out this adventurous life, discovering new animals and diving into the deep blue sea every day. Looking back, I think part of the appeal was that it seemed like an adventure, like a way to combine curiosity and excitement while making a difference. It wasn't just about seeing cool animals, although that was a big part of it. It was also about the idea of protecting the ocean and understanding it better. As I got older, I realized that my love for discovery and exploring new things never really went away. It just took on different forms. Even though I didn't end up becoming a marine biologist, that curiosity and passion for learning new things still drives me. And I still have a soft spot for the ocean and love watching those nature documentaries.
What's one childhood dream you still think about? One childhood dream I still think about is the idea of traveling the world, almost like a modern-day explorer. When I was a kid, I'd daydream about visiting places I saw in books and movies, like ancient ruins, bustling cities, and beautiful landscapes. I remember thinking it would be amazing to step into different worlds, meet new people, and learn about their cultures and stories firsthand. Even now, that dream hasn't really gone away. I still catch myself daydreaming about exploring new places, and every time I get the chance to travel, it reminds me of that excitement I felt as a kid. There's something about seeing the world from different perspectives that keeps you grounded and open-minded. It's a reminder that there's so much out there beyond our daily routines, and I think that curiosity to keep discovering is something I'll always carry with me.
What's a life lesson you think everyone should learn about emotions? A life lesson I think everyone should learn about emotions is that feeling your emotions doesn't make you weak. It actually makes you stronger. So many people try to push down or ignore their emotions, thinking it's a sign of strength to keep everything bottled up. But over time, that habit can make us feel overwhelmed, even numb, because we're not allowing ourselves to fully process what we're going through. Learning to acknowledge and feel our emotions without judgment is powerful because it teaches us resilience. When we're honest with ourselves about what we're feeling, whether it's sadness, anger, joy, or fear, it helps us understand ourselves better. We start to see patterns, triggers, and things that bring us happiness. And when we're able to recognize our emotions, we can handle them in a healthy way instead of letting them build up and explode later. I think it's also important to remember that emotions are temporary. They come and go, and just because we feel something deeply in one moment doesn't mean we'll feel that way forever. Knowing that makes it easier to let ourselves experience whatever emotions come up without feeling like they define us.
If you could live in any city for a year, which one would you choose? If I could live in any city for a year, I think I'd choose Tokyo. There's something about the blend of old and new in that city that really fascinates me. You've got the bustling, high-tech side with all the neon lights, skyscrapers, and endless innovation. But then, just a short walk away, you can find centuries-old temples, peaceful gardens, and traditional tea houses. I love the idea of being able to experience both the fast-paced, modern world and the quiet, reflective moments within the same space. Tokyo's food scene is another huge draw for me. From sushi to ramen, street food to fancy omakase, I can only imagine how amazing it would be to explore all the culinary offerings. Plus, the culture of mindfulness and respect for others is something I really admire. And I think living in a city like Tokyo would be a great opportunity to learn more about that. On top of that, Tokyo has such a vibrant arts and entertainment scene, whether it's anime, fashion, music, or design. There's always something new to discover, and I think that would keep me inspired throughout the year. It would definitely be an unforgettable experience.
What's one habit you're trying to improve or change? One habit I'm definitely trying to improve is being more mindful about how I spend my time, especially when it comes to getting distracted by my phone. It's so easy to get sucked into scrolling through social media or checking notifications without even realizing how much time passes. And before I know it, I've lost an hour or two that I could have spent doing something more meaningful or productive. Lately, I've been making an effort to be more intentional with how I use my time. I try to set aside specific blocks of time for things like reading, working on projects, or just relaxing without the distraction of my phone. I've also started leaving my phone in another room when I'm focusing on something important, and that simple change has really helped me stay more present. It's definitely a work in progress, but I'm noticing that when I'm more mindful of how I spend my time, I feel more balanced and less stressed. It's all about finding that balance between staying connected and being present in the moment.
Thank you for listening to this 30-minute episode of the Rise Up podcast. I hope you enjoyed the discussions and picked up some new words and insights along the way. Remember, you can always revisit the episode and study the vocabulary with the PDF transcript available in the description. Keep growing, keep learning, and we'll see you in the next one.